Just a point of observation, you seek to clarify I'm falsely asserting? Something took place during the 2011-2012 school year when in fact, it took place during 2012 to 2013, December 14th, 2012. Calendar school year. Okay, I'm not going to be discussing that. What we're talking about is literally real things that happen, not how you define a fiscal year or school year, if that's where you're going. Next, I'm just going to be repeating something I already did in a video, so since this is going to have to be done, I guess, what is the explanation for a break in website activity? The webmaster changed a setting in a file that tells web crawlers like Google to stop looking at the website as often or at all and exclude it from the Wayback Machine and Google so that their website doesn't get hit with a lot of traffic. Websites that do this sort of archiving don't have to obey that instruction, but someone said it that way. Maybe there was an excessive usage of the website and they were running into bills, or maybe they just said don't look at the website or archive anything. They're putting up temporary data and taking it down. The year and date this was done has nothing to do with Sandy Hook incident. It really doesn't. So the break in the website activity is, number one, not really a break in the activity. It was told not to archive it. That's different. It was still an active website. Stop listening to Wolfgang Halbig, the idiot. I mean it. If you say you advise people to look up his shit, you are a shithead. That's all. I'm not saying anything bad about you. Next. The other thing that happened is they changed their website software and website directory structures in a way that is commonly occurring among webmasters. Yes, you'll find an architects and engineers equivalent out there of a webmaster that says, we never change our domain names or anything, because they never do. I mean, I try to avoid it too. But if you're making a website work a certain way, you will need to make a temporary directory, which is what this looked like, and then a permanent directory, and try out things to see if it actually works under every browser. Please understand that every single web browser has to be tested on a website to make sure it works, because derps out there don't just make universally viewable website code. They keep trying to customize it or make it really snazzy, instead of putting up a boring website that is not hyperactive and just gives you data. Okay, that's your first sentence that you're asking about, really. Next, I mean, really conversational stuff here. Next, twice switched to a new domain name. No, you're not allowed to get away with that. You don't know what you're talking about? Domain name versus subdomain name. Well, what's the difference? The difference is newtown.k12.ct.us is the domain name. No, it isn't. It's US is the top level domain, followed by, in reverse order, Connecticut for CT, K12, which is K through 12 for the next domain, and then Newtown, which is the area for Newtown, Connecticut. And then, in a break with that seeming rational pattern, Sandy Hook Schools, or just Sandy Hook, was on the far right next to US for United States for the top level domain name. It is not a domain name change, it's a subdirectory. That's like saying your My Documents and your Windows directory are different domain names. They're not. Only to revert back to the original domain name some 30 days after the day incident was have taken place on. Okay, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to explain this again for the 50th frickin' time. That period of inactiveness does appear rather odd. It's not inactive. The web crawler Wayback Machine didn't look at the page for that period of time. That's all. If Google actually archived things instead of just keeping a simple cache for recent activity, they would show activity as well. And again, if archive.org stopped paying attention to robots.txt, we wouldn't be talking about this. Hey, Internet Archive, Wayback Machine, idiots. Do you fucking get why we told you for over 5 years to stop obeying robots' text? You're not Google. You don't have to obey it. And why do you retroactively decide you're going to erase websites sometimes and sometimes not? Why don't you just stop being stupid? I hate idealistic Linux-based bullshit. Yes, I'm blaming Linux people this week. Next week I'll blame the Mac users. Then I'll blame the Protestants. No, it's not an odd thing, and it's not inactive. It was not inactive, you fuckwad. The only person saying it was an inactive website is Wolfgang Halbig, a.k.a. The Idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Stop reposting this shit. I'm not angry about Sandy Hook here. I'm angry that you're literally misquoting a freaking web standard. I mean, you can say all the bullcrap you want. You can do JFK all day long. But don't you dare bitch about my RFCs, bitch. Do you even RFC? It's no wonder why people would believe a conspiracy was being perpetrated. Okay, well, the fact that every other fucking school had the same gaps happening at random locations in time, that doesn't mean anything to you? Oh no, how about every other school on the planet with a website showing gaps? Oh well, they're all in on it. How about every corporation? How about Breitbart not showing data? Oh well. How about a lot of news sites excluding the Wayback Machine explicitly? Well, then they're not active. Nobody goes to the site. No, they excluded the Wayback Machine. Well, the school excluded them, so that's suspicious. No, it's fucking not, because they may not have even known they'd done it. They did it originally for a specific page and then just made it to the whole website. Now that I've screamed a little bit, I'd also like to point out that I'm only pointing out the three, you're calling it the domain name, directory structures. I'm not including the pictures. Some of the pictures from the directory structures showed up because they weren't excluded. So you get entirely a bouncy black line going across all of these, which means they didn't exclude all of it, which means, and no, this isn't activity. All right? You're an ignorant person, stop posting. I don't care if you say, I'm just pointing out an observation, and then you say I falsely asserted something. Okay? Can I please clarify? Yeah. You aren't just doing an observation because you accused me of falsely making an assertion. I didn't falsely assert shit. They switched to schooldesk.net as their actual top domain name in 2016 or so. During this time, yes, on both sides, the SHS, Sandy Hook School, and ~SH, Sandy Hook, were all active, which meant they kept backup copies or recalcitrant copies functional, sort of, if no another reason to have a redirect. The one that's ~SHS, or SH, excuse me, showed up between these times here, and a lot of it was blank. And it was the original one from 2000 forward, which was a text file someone converted to HTML and should have left it that way. About 2006, they started experimenting, as far as we know, with Sandy Hook schools having their own page within the same structure parallel to it at the same time. In 2008, this is when the machinery was told to block out every web crawler because some amateurish idiot typed that in. Now that means your conspiracy has to start in 2008 if you're saying this is suspicious. If you're not saying it started in 2008, of course you will, then this isn't suspicious and you can't apply it anywhere else. This worked, if you want to call it some sort of process, for around 2 years till 2010. During 2010 to 2011, there was this period of time that was recorded because SHS version of the page was active. And by the way, all the versions were active up here. They just were blocked in some cases. In 2011, from here through here, there were intermittent grabs of the pages. And also during 2013. Now, looking at this area here, around December 2012, and saying that's suspicious, means that you have to declare that this period here, 2007, was also suspicious for the same non-logical reasons. You also have to decide that 2016 was extremely suspicious, and so was 2017 and 18, depending on where you're looking at. And most of these, by the way, if you're not aware of it, are people like you trying to get the ~sh file to come up when it was gone. Are we clear yet? No. Clear as mud, you're not going to listen. So let me repeat your statement. You're not just pointing out an observation, you're just asking questions. Use the right meme. I should seek to clarify. I did in the original video. My false assertion isn't false. During 2011-2012 school year, stop it with the school year versus calendar school year. No. The period of time people are pointing to being suspicious because of missing data is also missing for other years. It's also missing for the same pattern you ignored. It's also missing currently. Sometimes the Wayback Machine senses there's no major change in the page or that one individual page they're looking at and doesn't make a fucking archive. That doesn't mean the site's down or inactive. It means they're not making records. Also, another thing that can cause it is if during a period of time some bozo who is editing the pages turned off the robots function so that it couldn't be archived anymore. Next. Public service announcement. Are you an idiot doing web editing for some corporation or public entity? Are you? Alright. Do you know where the robots text file is? Yes. Go check it right now and make sure it excludes nothing. And then do nothing else other than check it once a month to make sure some idiot doesn't come through and create fodder for a fucking conspiracy theory because you idiots changed a tilde to a asterisk or something. Next, petition an internet archive to ignore robots.txt perpetually because it's a dumb fucking standard and it gets misused because websites run by actual criminals invoke it retroactively to get the Wayback Machine to erase evidence that they were selling diet pills and Viagra. That's about all it's good for. I'm not kidding. This is one of the more infuriating things of dealing with the internet. You're not an archive if you erase shit. That's Fahrenheit 451 reference here. You're erasing history because a bit was set. And now for your, what was the break in activity? There's hundreds of breaks in activity on every website you look up through archive.org. Argument invalid. It was switched to a new domain name. No, it was switched from here to here, and then it had these in parallel, and archive.org finally resumed looking at it, really in 2013, mostly because right after Sandy Hook happened, people started manually archiving it, and magically, archive.org actually listened to them instead of paying attention to robots.txt. And 30 days after the incident, that's not 30 days. Is that 30 days after the incident right there? Like January 1st, 2013? Is that 30 days after? Anyway, and as for reverting it back, these were active at the same time. That's a common thing so that you have an automatic backup and so that you can make your links migrate over. You leave the old version up for a long time after you've made the new version. In this case, it looks like almost 6-7 years here to make sure that links don't break, and then people have to update their bookmarks later. You hope that they'll migrate over by using the newer listing. You also auto-redirect, if you're smart, to the new page, which maybe they did or didn't do. Did you bother checking any of the notes? And yeah, this is backed up by going not to SHS or tilde.sh, but going to just the root domain and seeing that the page wasn't missing or non-active. And also, if you do that, you see them making announcements on the main page about Sandy Hook just before and just after the damn shooting happened, including mentioning the shooting. The site was not inactive. The site was not being ignored. The site wasn't down. Sandy Hook was not closed. And Wolfgang Halbig is a failure. Goodbye.